VON Major News Package for today, Wednesday, 5th September 2018. In our lead stories nationally, a new resident High Court judge for St. Kitts and Nevis and ROC and NIA hold discussion on national park at Pinnies. Regionally, British police officer to be extradited to Antigua to face 2015 rape charge. Internationally, Japan admits first Fukushima nuclear death. And in sports, Allen fires Patriots to thrilling 2-wicket victory. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
This summer, the Bank of Nevis Limited offers you sizzling hot vacation loans. Come and experience summer like never before with our easy-to-access summer vacation loan. Get up to $15,000 unsecured with up to 2 years to repay. Take a trip, experience the world, or participate in our very own Culturama. Enjoying your vacation has never been easier with a relaxing vacation loan from the Bank of Nevis Limited. My bank, your bank, our bank, the Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook.
Welcome back and now on to the national news in detail. A new High Court judge has been assigned to St. Kitts and Nevis. Justice Eddie Ventos took the oath of office and the oath of allegiance from Governor General of St. Kitts and Nevis, His Excellency Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, on Monday, September 3rd, as a judge of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. His Lordship was previously Professor of Law at the Faculty of Law, Cayville Camp, Cayville, Barbados. The chair of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission informed that Professor Ventos had been appointed as High Court Judge, Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court with effect from September 1st, 2018. Justice Ventos will replace Her Honor Perletta Lance, who had served as an acting High Court Judge assigned to St. Kitts and Nevis since April 2017. His Lordship Ventos will serve alongside Justice Trevor Ward QC in the High Court in St. Kitts. A delegation for the Republic of China Taiwan led by Resident Ambassador to St. Kitts and Nevis, His Excellency Tom Lee, met with a team from the Nevis Island Administration NIA led by Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, on September 4th, 2018. The purpose of the visit was to advance discussions for the development of a national park in close proximity to Pinnies. Ambassador Lee, who acknowledged the bond between both countries, said his government considers the project an important one. The 8-member delegation comprised of professors from the Taiwan Ocean University and 5 members of the technical team from the Taiwan Technical Mission in St. Kitts and Nevis. His Excellency Lee stated that his government considers this a very important project and they have been to the site several times, so he believes that they have something concrete to discuss. The Premier stated that the generosity of the Republic of China Taiwan is an ongoing one and they were about to undertake the Pinnies Park project, which is important to Nevis, and indicated how they got involved. Stakeholders from the public and private sector, as well as experts on genetic resources and traditional medicines and conservationists, are taking part in a 3-day consultation workshop aimed at reviewing and revising draft legislative provisions related to compliance with the Nagoya Protocol on access to genetic resources and the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from the utilization of these resources. The workshop, which began today in St. Kitts and will be held here on Nevis on September 7th, is hosted by the Department of Environment and facilitated by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature IUCN, with funding from the United Nations Environment UNE and the Global Environment Fund GEF. In explaining the Nagoya Protocol, environmental scientists in the Department of Environment and national focal point for the project, Evan Parry, said it provides a framework for the management of a country's unique and diverse biological resources, including endemic species. He said that St. Kitts and Nevis is now in the final stages of ratifying the biodiversity-related protocol, and one of the fundamental requirements is for parties to have domestic legislation enacted to ensure compliance with the articles of the protocol. A direct outcome of the legislative review workshop will be draft legislation on ABS that would form the basis for ABS legislation in St. Kitts. The workshop forms part of a regional project advancing the Nagoya Protocol in countries of the Caribbean 2015-2018. 2 students from Nevis are among 8 students from across St. Kitts and Nevis who were inducted into the TDC group of companies Warren C. Tyson Memorial Scholarship Program. The scholarship is named in honor of TDC's first chairman, which is named in honor of TDC's first chairman, provides an annual stipend to the students entering high school. 8 students, 1 from each secondary school, are inducted into the program annually. This year's recipients from Nevis are Tisjuan Wade of the Charlestown Secondary School and Udell Wisdom of the Gingerland Secondary School. The TDC Warren Tyson Memorial Scholarship Program, which has as its motto, Molding Young Minds for the Future, was established in 1981 and has so far provided assistance to over 200 students. Meantime, Imogen Archibald of the Charlestown Secondary School and Tyra Phillip of the Gingerland Secondary School are the recipients of the 2018 TDC Financial Services Academic Excellence Award. The students received the award certificates during a ceremony held on Saturday, September 1st at the company's offices in Basseterre. In police news, an autopsy was performed on the body of the late Mikhail Leibert by forensic pathologist Dr. Valery Alexandrov earlier this week. Dr. Alexandrov concluded that the cause of death was due to multiple gunshot wounds to the body. Leibert was 32 years old at the time of his death and was the son of Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Patches Leibert. Leibert was murdered on Monday evening, August 27th, at about 10:15 in Pine Gardens, St. Kitts. At the time, Mikhail was visiting someone in the aforementioned area, and preliminary investigations have revealed that on arrival, as he was getting out of the vehicle, 3 armed men came out of the nearby bushes and opened fire on him. He was shot multiple times about the body. Moreover, he ran a short distance, then fell. He succumbed to his injuries at the scene. Leibert also became the Federation's 20th murder victim. As investigations continue, police have urged persons with information regarding this incident to contact the Violent Crime Unit by dialing 467-1887. In more national news,
the expansion project is on track and going according to schedule. According to the construction manager, 52.5% of the foundation stage has now been completed. That includes cistern, foundation and walls, and also footings and walls.
That's Nevis's Premier and Minister of Health, the Honorable Mark Brantley, providing an update on the Alexandra Hospital project. Back in June of this year, he explained that due to circumstances, the project was stalled, but since then, work has resumed and is moving apace. Work on the $19 million project began in May 2018. The multi-million-dollar project is jointly funded by the Sugar Industry Diversification Fund SIDF and the Nevis Island Administration NIA, with the first phase of the project estimated to cost some $12 million, while the second phase is estimated to cost $7 million. The project is expected to take between 18 and 24 months to be completed. Children with autism in St. Kitts and Nevis and their families will receive enhanced care and resources thanks to the opening of the St. Kitts Spectrum Services Center on Tuesday, September 4th. The St. Kitts Spectrum Services Center is located at the industrial site preschool. The center will deliver screenings and early diagnostic services to children and their families. The early intervention service will be performed by certified trained individuals. The new center is a significant achievement for the government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis, providing improved care for children with autism, ultimately resulting in less stress for their families and understanding and acceptance from the general public. The Ministry of Education hopes to continue joint partnerships with non-governmental organizations in the near future. Autism is a developmental disorder characterized by troubles with social interaction and communication and by restricted and repetitive behavior. Parents usually notice signs in the first 2 or 3 years of their child's life. And that's our national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, or you can check us out on our social media pages on Facebook at Von Radio and Von Radio via our YouTube channel. News from across the region is next.
This summer, the Bank of Nevis Limited offers you sizzling hot vacation loans. Come and experience summer like never before with our easy access summer vacation loan. Get up to $15,000 unsecured with up to 2 years to repay. Take a trip, experience the world, or participate in our very own Culturama. Enjoying your vacation has never been easier with a relaxing vacation loan from the Bank of Nevis Limited. My bank, your bank, our bank, the Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook.
Welcome back, and now on to the regional news. Out of Antigua, a British police officer who allegedly committed rape in Antigua and Barbuda more than 3 years ago has been ordered extradited to the Twin Island nation to face the court following the historic successful extradition request by the country's Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. A statement from the government today said that the country achieved a first in legal history for the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, and a very rare occurrence for the wider Caribbean when Anthony Armstrong was successful in getting a British court to accept his request to extradite the officer. It is alleged that the officer, who was not identified in the statement, was on vacation in Antigua and Barbuda in May 2015 and raped a foreign student studying at a local educational institution shortly after meeting her. The matter was reported to the police, who commenced investigations, but before the officer could be apprehended, he returned to the United Kingdom, UK, in late May. The request was granted in July this year after the British court heard legal arguments for and against the request for the police officer's extradition. Out of Bahamas, Bahamas Electrical Workers Union BEWU President Paul Maynard on Monday threatened a work stoppage if the government does not immediately explain why several dozen foreign workers who Maynard claims were engaged by Bahamas Power and Light from BWSC Denmark Power Plant were brought in to manage Clifton Pier Power Station. Maynard claimed he was contacted by his members at the power plant in western New Providence and was advised that approximately 40 people showed up claiming to have a management contract for Clifton Pier. The Bahamas Electricity Corporation has used purchase orders, a commercial document, to acquire goods or services since the 1990s for BWSC to maintain and overhaul the engines at Clifton. In 2014 and 2015, the company was brought in preparation for the summer demand. At the time, BEC and BWSC $1.5 million paid $1.5 million to maintain the engines at Clifton. On Monday, Maynard stated that neither BPL nor the Bahamian people need the foreign company. Out of Jamaica, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Darrell Vaz, says the government will announce measures to address plastic pollution at a meeting of G7 Environment, Energy and Oceans Ministers in Canada later this month. Speaking at the opening of a regional environmental workshop today, he said the actions to be undertaken are aimed at making the environment cleaner and healthier for Jamaicans. Minister Vaz first announced the government's intention to prohibit the use of single-use plastic bags in the retail trade in May. Under the policy, Jamaicans will need to use reusable bags when they go to the supermarket or wholesalers. The three-day workshop for the second technical meeting of the Caribbean Working Group on the Environmental Indicators of the Latin American and Caribbean Initiative for Sustainable Development, ILAC, will run until Thursday. And lastly, in our regional news segment, out of the Cayman Islands, St. Martin has joined CCRIF SPC, formerly the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, purchasing coverage for tropical cyclones, earthquakes, and excess rainfall. St. Martin joined the facility on September 1st as a late entrant this policy year, which began on June 1st, 2018. CCRIF's membership now stands at 20 countries, 19 Caribbean governments, and 1 Central American government, with both the British Virgin Islands and Montserrat also joining the facility this policy year. CCRIF provides parametric insurance coverage, the selection of which is largely driven by the fact that parametric insurance is generally less expensive than an equivalent traditional indemnity insurance product, as it does not require a loss assessment procedure in case of a disaster. This is an important feature considering the urgent need for liquidity by a government after a catastrophe. St. Martin, like 12 other Caribbean countries, was severely impacted by Hurricane Irma in September 2017, with damages in the country estimated by the government and contained in its disaster recovery plan to be in excess of US $1.8 billion. And that's our regional news segment. Stay with us for news around the world.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back on the one to the international news. Japan has announced for the first time that a worker at the stricken Fukushima nuclear power plant died after suffering radiation exposure. The man, who was in his 50s, died from lung cancer that he was diagnosed with in 2016. Japan's government had previously agreed that radiation caused illness in 4 workers, but this is the first acknowledged death. Celia Hatton reports.
Japan's Fukushima nuclear plant was hit by a powerful earthquake and tsunami in 2011. All 3 of its operational reactors went into meltdown. Tokyo has already compensated at least 1 man who was involved in the cleanup. But this marks the first decision to compensate the family of a former worker after his death from cancer. The man, in his 50s, had been in charge of measuring radiation levels at the plant in the aftermath of its triple meltdown. Government officials said the man's relatives requested that his date of death from lung cancer be withheld from the public.
Israel's Supreme Court has rejected appeals against the demolition of a Bedouin village in the occupied West Bank, whose fate has been a subject of international concern. Judges upheld an order to raise Khan al-Ahmar, where about 180 people live in shacks between 2 Jewish settlements. Israel's government says the structures were built illegally, but Palestinians say permits are impossible to obtain. Sebastian Usher reports.
This is the end of a legal process that's gone on for 9 years. A temporary order preventing the raising of Khan al-Ahmar will now be lifted within the week. The village is home to around 180 Bedouin who live in makeshift shacks. They've so far rejected proposals by the Israeli authorities about where they could be relocated. There's been considerable international pressure on the Israeli government not to carry out the demolition of the village, which Israel says was constructed illegally. The people in the village have always maintained that the necessary Israeli permits were all but unobtainable. It's now up to the Israeli government to decide when to send in the bulldozers. And
lastly, in our international news segment, 2 Russian nationals have been named as suspects in the attempted murder of former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia. The men using the names of Alexander Petrov and Ruslan Bishurov are thought to be officers from Russia's military intelligence service, the Prime Minister said. Scotland Yard and the CPS say there is enough evidence to charge the men. Mr. Skripal, 66, and his daughter Yulia, 33, were poisoned with the nerve agent Novichok in March. Speaking in Parliament, the British Prime Minister Theresa May said this was not a random act.
The 2 individuals named by the police and CPS are officers from the Russian Military Intelligence Service, also known as the GRU. The GRU is a highly disciplined organisation with a well-established chain of command. So this was not a rogue operation. It was almost certainly also approved outside the GRU at a senior level of the Russian state.
Russia has consistently denied involvement in the attack. Here is Russia's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova.
The media have been reporting statements by British officials regarding suspects in the Salisbury and Amesbury case. Russia is being linked to it. The names and photographs published in the media do not mean anything to us. We are again calling on the UK to move from public accusations and information manipulation to practical cooperation between law enforcement agencies.
And that brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
It's Fed season at TDC, and you have VIP access to TDC Home and Building Depot's Furniture Fest. Get 25% off all furniture cash or hire purchase and save even more on our Furniture Fed cash specials. After all that fetting, come home and relax in affordable quality, comfort, and style. Pay your way and save big on your living room, dining room, or bedroom set in TDC Home and Building Depot's Furniture Fest. See stores for details. Terms and conditions apply.
If you come to Fed, I come to Fed, she come to Fed, we come to Fed, all are we.
Welcome back, and now on to the sports. In cricket, Fabian Allen powered St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots to a thrilling 2-wicket victory with 2 balls to spare that takes them temporarily to the top of the Hero Caribbean Premier League CPL while inflicting a 6th straight defeat on the Barbados Tridents. It looked like the Tridents were finally going to return to winning ways back on the road after 5 defeats at home when they reduced the Patriots to 92 for 6 in pursuit of 169 for victory, and again when Allen lost a strike in the closing overs and was left needing 17 from the final 6 balls. However, Allen had the answers, smashing the first 2 balls of Dominic Drake's closing over for 6s to take the target down to a far simpler 5 from 4. The 3rd ball bounced over the mid-wicket boundary and a scampered leg-by finished the job. Allen ended on a sparkling unbeaten 64 from 34 as the Patriots completed a first successful 150-plus Hero CPL run chase after 7 previous failures. The summarized scores are as follows: St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots 169 for 8, Allen 64 not out, Mohamed Irfan 3 for 37, Imran Khan 2 for 19, beat Barbados Tridents 168 for 5, Puran 44, Chase 38 not out, Jay Holder 30 not out, Shamsi 2 for 16 by 2 wickets with 2 balls to spare. In tennis, Serena Williams passed her toughest test so far at the US Open to beat Karolina Pliskova and reach the semifinals for a 9th consecutive time. Williams, seeded 17th, trailed 4 for 2 in the first set but hit back to win 6-4, 6-3 against the Czech 8th seed. The American 36 is seeking her first Grand Slam trophy since giving birth to daughter Olympia last September. If she wins, it would be her 24th major title, equaling Australian Margaret Court's all-time record. Meanwhile, Serena Williams has praised Nike's new Colin Kaepernick advertising campaign, calling it a powerful statement. Critics have burned Nike trainers and clothing in protest at the decision to use Kaepernick in the campaign. Kaepernick was the first NFL player to kneel during the national anthem to highlight racial injustice. In related news, U.S. President Donald Trump has criticized sportswear company Nike following its decision to use Colin Kaepernick as the face of a new campaign. Kaepernick was the first NFL player to kneel down during the national anthem. However, critics have burned Nike trainers and clothing in protest at the decision to use Kaepernick in a campaign. In a tweet, President Trump said that Nike is getting absolutely killed with anger and boycotts, adding, "I wonder if they had any idea that it would be this way." The president continued his previous criticism of the NFL, saying, "As far as the NFL is concerned, I just find it hard to watch and always will until they stand for the flag." Trump's criticism came after tennis star Serena Williams, who is also part of the Nike campaign to mark the 30th anniversary of its Just Do It slogan, praised the company's move. And lastly, in our sports segment in football, La Liga is planning to subsidize travel and accommodation for fans affected by its plans to stage an annual fixture in the United States. According to Spanish media, Girona's home game with Barcelona on January 27th will be played in Miami. Spanish football's top tier has agreed to move one game per season overseas for the first time as part of a 15-year deal with media company Relevant. The Spanish FA and Spanish Footballers Union have criticized the plan. A source close to La Liga told the BBC Sport the subsidized travel and accommodation would be for home season ticket holders, while others will be compensated for missing out on a home match. And that's it for sports. The weather is next. Welcome back. The weather tonight will continue to be fair to partly cloudy with a 20% or a slight chance of a brief shower. The weather tomorrow will be partly sunny with a 40% or a moderate chance of a brief afternoon shower. The winds are east at 11 to 22 kilometers per hour or 6 to 12 knots, becoming variable in some places tonight. The seas are slight to moderate with significant wave heights not exceeding 1.5 meters or 5 feet. The sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:58 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, September 5th, 2018. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, a new resident High Court judge for St. Kitts and Nevis and ROC and NIA hold discussion on National Park at Pinnies. Regionally, British police officer to be extradited to Antigua to face 2015 rape charge. Internationally, Japan admits first Fukushima nuclear death. And in sports, Allen fires Patriots to thrilling 2-wicket victory. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Jarvis Brown wishing you a pleasant evening.